one thing that I think is very important for me to enjoy a story and for me to write a story that I would enjoy is to introduce characters that have both strong points and flaws. Their strengths are used within the story, and also their flaws have actual impact, because it would be worthless to introduce a character's weakness just to balance how awesome they are in everything else, when said weakness never really comes into play. And I also believe that I, the writer, need to make sure that these flaws and these strengths are demonstrated in action rather than just listed by the characters themselves or by their companions or enemies. I've said this multiple times now when I was talking about both protagonists and antagonists, but I just firmly believe that it plays such a significant role in me truly enjoying a character. And here I would like to focus more on the flaws, because even I, with my I want my protagonist to be a capable individual, would not enjoy a perfect protagonist. Same with the characters surrounding or opposing said protagonist. And I feel that, and if those clearly negative traits are not having any real impact on the course of the story, on the way certain events reach conclusion, then there is barely any reason to even introduce them in the first place. I don't want to introduce a character who's supposedly forgetful, but this forgetfulness of this character never really steers the narrative in any unpredictable direction. It ended up being an empty trait, would take away something from that character that I, as the reader, would appreciate. I just need to make sure that both positive and negative qualities in characters that I introduce, be it side characters or main, bring something to the table, something that gives worth to their existence. Now, when I'm done with this actually decently short intro, I have more adventures of the Rapid Arrows Club to go over, and currently they are fixing the hole in that large canvas that Speed is behind Thor in it. He is reminiscing of that workout he did on top of that beam, while Mirek reprimands him to work harder with the needle to finish sewing. The sooner the better. Meanwhile, Redcap hears a pig squealing very loudly in its pigsty, and when he reaches it, he is horrified at how small the place is, considering how large the pig is. So, like the good boy he is, he lets the pig out. What he thought will happen was that the pig will take a short walk and then maybe come back, but the animal had different plans. It storms out, rolling over Redcap, who immediately starts screaming, "Pig, pig, pig, catch the pig." That also became one of the phrases used in my family. The rabbit arrows really is just a gift that keeps on giving, especially in terms of these nonsensical exclamations. Well, the rest of the boys notice that something is going on outside, so they run out First one to stand in the way of the enraged beast is Speedy, doing chicken noises and literally just standing in the way of the approaching Colossus. His fate already sealed. He ends up in pretty much the same state as Redcap did a moment ago. Next one is Yindra, who tries to stop it by hitting it with a stick. Instead, he hits the dog's house, scaring it awake. Yarka attempts to pursue on a bicycle, but he runs into a drawbar that the pig just easily runs underneath. The club regroups and grabs the canvas and want to use it to catch the pig as a quintuplet of toreadors. Mirek already seeing the horrible future in which the pig escapes them and they'll have to pay for it, ending up as beggars for sure. Well, they get the canvas on top of the pig, but it turns out to be stronger than the boys, and after a short scuffle, it turns out triumphant, sitting on a huge pile of bodies with a laurel wreath in a small white cloud on top of its head. Then the animal, clearly not exactly interested in running away, just slowly walks out, leaving behind, obviously not actually saying it, a phrase that can be translated into English as something like the wiser person knows when to retreat or give in, which leaves the five boys on the ground beaten and disheveled, Speedy even sporting a black eye and proclaiming how happy the people in the countryside must be if they can any day of the week enjoy events like the one when the boys tried to capture an escaped pig. In the next story, the harvest is finally over and the uncle gives the club some wood and tar paper to build a cabin in the nearby ravine. They even get a ride on a cart with all of that, and when they arrive at a perfect spot, there's a stream nearby, which actually worries Yarka a little bit because he questions the viability of building that cabin on the flat meadow in case of a flood. So instead, they decide to build it in an old tree nearby. They quickly start building both the cabin and even a small oven, that one on the ground, with plans that if the weather is against them, they'll just cook inside of the cabin on a small cooker. Everyone is working hard. Speedy, while carrying more planks of wood, is complaining that a lift would be much welcome in this situation. And when the cabin is finally finished, it receives warm welcome from all the club members in the form of the club's shout that rhymes in Czech, but obviously my English is nowhere near good enough to transfer the rhyme into it as well. But it means something along the lines of the world belongs to the young, the rapid arrows forward. While the club members are all warming up the cabin, they've been camping there for at least 3 days, and it seems that the weather was really against them. It's been raining quite heavily, as if Yarka's words from the beginning were an omen, and Mirek's beginning to feel a bit nervous about the stream because apparently the water is rising. So they hammer in a peg. When the water reaches that peg, they'll have to evacuate and they'll be keeping watch that night. They are standing around in raincoats, and the last panel is one of the watchmen, Redcap, checking on the peg, the water already almost touching it, and he's wondering if they'll have to run away since the water just seems to continue rising. And well, that's where I'm going to stop for today. Basically, just repeated myself with the intro, and next time, more about characters and more epic arrows again with the watery adventure.